there. Today I have Danny Bocanegra of Xapo, and we are going to talk a little bit about how he got involved in Bitcoin and also a little bit about their products. So first off, what we always love to do here on our show is really get to know how people got introduced to Bitcoin. So take it away, Danny.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, Marni. Really appreciate it. So, I think my first encounter with Bitcoin was at a dinner party, and a friend of mine started talking about Bitcoin and what it was and what it meant, and he said it was going to change the world. And a lot of my friends are social entrepreneurs or individuals who are either using technology or business for good in some capacity. I was late to the party, and I got to the place, and was more enamored with the food that was on the table because I was starving after a long day of work, and totally ignored this guy for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes as he continued to talk. So that was my first actually encounter with Bitcoin when someone was talking about it. This was maybe in late 2012, and I went back home, I think maybe the next day, and really started getting on the internet and understanding what this technology was all about. And from that point on, the rise of Bitcoin took off, as you know, with everything in the press, and I became completely enamored with the technology, its implications, its social implications, and how it was going to revolutionize the face of money. And from that point forward, I don't think I've been able to stop reading. And as many people have talked about on your show, I think they caught the bug. And when that bug is caught, I think you can't stop.
It gets a hold of you, doesn't it?
Continuing to learn and understand, what it's going to do for the world.
And earlier today, I saw a tweet that I think BitPay had sent it out, and it was that when people understand Bitcoin, their stance towards Bitcoin changes as they get more educated. And I think that's really true. That's why we can't sleep at night. The more educated we get, the more excited we get about it, right?
Yeah. And I was at a payments conference recently, and this woman had been speaking about payments, and she's been evangelizing payments in the payments industry for a very, very long time. And only recently has she started to understand Bitcoin, and she said the exact same thing. She's been working with antiquated systems for over 30 years, it seems like, and she's finally caught the Bitcoin bug, and it's remarkable to see somebody's face when they can speak with something with such passion after having been inundated with this entire broken payment system.
Absolutely. And speaking of the broken payment system, I was really intrigued with the story that you told me about how you personally had been affected by that whole Target debacle. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, I think it was 40 million debit or credit cards that were stolen from Target. I think this has become one example of a corporation who is indebted with the responsibility of having to take on the burden of all this customer information. And I was one of them. It was my personal account, and at the time I was running a business, and it happened to be my business account as well. I didn't lose any money, but it did take up 3 to 4 hours of my life in terms of replacing those cards. But those are first world problems, as we call it. The larger implication here is the fact that not only a business has to be responsible for all that data, it's a huge burden on the business. As you've seen recently, I think it was maybe within a couple of days, the CEO left, the CTO left, and those are big implications for that business. From my perspective, I just saw it as a clear example of why Bitcoin can win, not only from the remittance level, but also from a large corporate standpoint, where these big companies can really leverage the power of Bitcoin and use it to their business advantage of not only making money, but also not having to be responsible for our precious data.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when the PCI compliance first came through, and all of the overheads as a small business when you had an e-commerce store for, meeting those PCI requirements. I remember I was paying like about $300 a year just so that we could say that our website was PCI compliance until finally Authorize.net came out with a customer information manager where now the information is held by Authorize.net, but now Authorize.net is responsible for that data, right? Somebody's always responsible for it. So that really is a unique thing about Bitcoin, is that it kind of turns that whole thing on its head. And yeah, the beautiful thing is that people are so much more protected by that. And so now it's more of a burden on the person of making sure that they protect their Bitcoins, right? And I understand that your company has a unique way, or at least one of the unique ways that I've seen of helping to consumers to actually, protect themselves when they feel more comfortable having somebody else do that for them than if they want to do it themselves. And obviously we understand that there's a lot of people out there who would rather just handle all of it themselves. But there is a certain amount of people out there who would just rather have somebody else help them with that. Do you want to explain more about that?
Yeah, sure. So we have two products. We have the wallet that is an everyday spending account, and we have a web-based wallet as well as a mobile-based wallet. And individuals can make everyday purchases with Bitcoin using those products. And we recently came out with the first ever Bitcoin debit card that debits right from your Xapo wallet account. You can spend Bitcoin anywhere in the world, and we'll be releasing the product within a couple months. On the other side, we have the Vault, which is a product that is deep cold storage, and we have 3 vaults around the world where we hold and secure the private keys for individuals as well as institutional investors, companies, et cetera, et cetera. So those 2 products we think are absolutely necessary for the long-term proliferation of the ecosystem in order to get Bitcoin to be adopted by the masses around the world. We don't think that Bitcoin will have an opportunity to take off unless individuals can be fully secured, knowing that their money is well taken care of. And I should also say that everything that is held in our vault is fully insured as well. So we have the everyday spending account on the wallet side, and then if you make a one-click transaction over to your vault, it's held in our vault and fully insured.
Wonderful. Are there amounts that it's insured up to? Like, are we talking like something like FDIC, or explain that a little bit more for the person who doesn't quite understand the logistics behind that?
Sure. So there is no limit. We are, yeah. And the let's see. So we hold a considerable amount of Bitcoin in our vault for a large number of institutional investors, hedge funds, family funds, other companies who don't want to be in the business of needing to secure and hold their Bitcoin, but actually run an efficient and amazing business and leave us the responsibility for securing that Bitcoin. So from the insurance perspective, yeah, there is no limit. Everything in our vault is fully insured, and yeah, it's pretty simple.
That's important. I know a lot of high net worth people. I live in Southern California here. I live in Del Mar. And so I know a number of people, and they do have the issue where they have to spread their money around in the traditional banks in several different banks, right, in order to handle that or move into private banking. And so what you're doing is not dissimilar to what people already know, right? It's just an extension into that Bitcoin world a little bit, yeah?
Sure. It's the responsibility of companies like Xapo and others who are starting to gain traction to allow Bitcoin to be as frictionless as possible. And without the great design and the great products and the sense of security that companies like Xapo bring, we don't think that Bitcoin can really take off into the masses and really take hold into the marketplace that all of us think that it should be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So tell us a little bit more about your debit card. When you're saying that, so it's like Visa, MasterCard, or something like that?
So yeah, so we are working with third-party processors and banks, and we have those relationships. And when an individual transacts anywhere in the world, the essentially it queries your Xapo wallet, says yes or no, and whether you have enough funds for that purchase. And on the back end, all that magic happens, and the merchant is given their national currency. And from the merchant's perspective, they see nothing different. They see a new Bitcoin customer, just as they would see an individual who comes in with another Visa, MasterCard, or China Union Pay, or Discover network card. But from the Bitcoin ecosystem's perspective, we've just opened up every single door in the entire world to accept a Bitcoin customer, offline, online, and yeah, we think that that's something that's going to be a huge step in terms of getting Bitcoin to be adopted by the masses. Now along those same lines, you can have a Xapo wallet and have a Xapo vault, and also have a Xapo debit card, and essentially an unbanked individual can live in that product stream and be able to transact with Bitcoin anywhere in the world.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to set up an account, what sort of that when you talk about unbanked, that kind of brings up the whole idea of what sort of information do they have to give you about themselves?
Yeah, good question. So we are extremely stringent on the KYC, AML procedures that need to take place all around the world. So we've just hired an amazing individual by the name of Karsten, who's coming in and is the head of compliance here. More importantly, we're working with some of the law firms in order to really make sure we follow all the rules, because as you can imagine, there are a lot in the number of different jurisdictions around the world. So from the debit cards perspective specifically, we will be relying on two things really: leveraging the existing relationships that we have with our banks, as well as the information that we'll capture when an individual applies for a debit card on Xapo. And that's basic information that you would need to give to open up a bank account. Probably name, date of birth. I imagine social security number, but I
honestly, in the United States, right?
Yeah, and those details haven't been set in stone yet, but there'll be common things that people would need to do.
Right, exactly. Interesting. I find this all so fascinating, and I really hope that it goes really well for you guys going forward. And tell us a little bit more about the security on the quote-unquote cold storage in the vault.
Yeah, so the way I describe it is that we have actually 4 layers of security. One is a level of cryptographic security that is proprietary to Xapo, and we've basically have created these systems for the interaction between the cold storage vaults and the hot servers that need to broadcast transactions to the network. So all of that cryptographic security we've built, and we've taken every measure to understand every risk associated to those transfers. The second layer beyond that is a level of physical security, and we're talking armed guards, we're talking biometric facial recognition software, thumbprint scanners for the individual who is uploading and downloading transactions from the cold storage over to the hot server. And all that takes place in a couple, or three actually, deep underground vaults that are three places around the world. The next layer beyond that is a layer of jurisdictional security. So I think we have locations around the world because we want to protect our customers and us from any government or maybe small army or even a catastrophic natural disaster from ruining any of those locations. Even if those cases took place, we'd still be able to get all of the Bitcoin out from any one of those three locations. And with cryptographic security and cryptographic sort of measures, we're able to recoup any Bitcoin that would be lost in one location. And so if any government came down and tried to seize any one of those locations, every one of our customers would be safe. And then the fourth level on top of all that, we think that we wouldn't lose any Bitcoin, but if in the case that something wild happens that we have not foreseen, then everything in the vault is fully insured, and customers would be given Bitcoin back from their insurance, and yeah, those are the four layers of security.
So what you were talking there is basically in the term in the technical world what we call is triple redundancy, yes?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So in other words, if it's, or double redundancy. So if the cold storage is actually duplicated in all three locations, correct? Yeah?
Yes, and no one customer's full amount of coins are in any one location. So we split up keys. We use deterministic wallets across all the vaults as well, and yeah, so we do that as well.
Good, good. Well, that sounds exciting. And tell me a little bit about the people behind Xapo, as well as obviously this takes a lot of, capital to even get a company like this off the ground. Didn't you recently get some funding? Tell us a little bit more about that, and tell us about the people behind it as well.
Sure. So our founder and CEO, Wences Casares, is a serial entrepreneur with three. He founded three and sold all the three of those companies in the financial services space in the past. The first company was essentially laying the first ISP in all of South America, and at the height of the bubble, and sold that for I think it was $750 million. After that, started a company there that was essentially the E-Trade of South America, and his latest project and company that was recently acquired by a company called LifeLock here in San Francisco was a wallet. It was an online wallet, and that was called Lemon. And so the power behind these, the brains behind this company is amazing, and I'm extremely honored to be a part of the team. And they have a level of expertise, I think, in the financial industry, in the financial services space that is not touched by, I think, many other companies. And then I think that also speaks to, well, the investment that we got from Benchmark Capital, Fortress Investment Group, and Ribbit Capital here really speaks highly to the founder's ability to execute in the past, and not only that, but also seeing what Bitcoin can do in the future, and seeing the right team to invest in that.
And can you share how much of that VC capital you got? Because
yeah, sure.
I think that makes that kind of tells something. Who's the name of that guy? I was talking about him the other day. I'll look. You tell me the answer to that. I'm going to look up that guy's name.
Sure. It was 20 million. It was public information. It was 20 million from those three investors, and The round closed, I want to say maybe about 4 or 5 months ago.
I just found out that guy's name, Mike Novogratz.
Oh,
And
from Fortress, yeah.
yeah, yeah, what he was saying, and I completely, I tweeted out, I said I concur. The whole reason, well, yeah, I would say really the reason that I'm involved in Bitcoin is from a technological standpoint. Being involved in technology for the last 30 years, I know all of the major players, right? And I've known Mark Andreessen, from the very beginning. I'm talking about the one from Mosaic, Mozilla, that Mark Andreessen. And these really smart guys in technology. And when they make these moves like this, and they make these investments like this, and they being VCs, right? And this is something that people maybe don't realize is that these guys really know their homework. They know they've done their homework. They do their due diligence. And I think it says a lot when you see these big VC companies in the tech space, walking into this.
Yeah, I think there's been a sense of validation that has started from venture capitalists here in Palo Alto and San Francisco. Um, but I think that it's also a little bit of it could be a little bit of noise in the marketplace too, in terms of all the, I guess, the press revolving around how much money is going into Bitcoin, and what's the price of Bitcoin today. Some of those things can get distracting uh, from what I think is the more important piece here, and that's the actual fundamental technology, and,
Absolutely.
and how much of a breakthrough this is compared to the old payment systems that we've been heavily reliant on. And and then furthermore, the social implications that it can have for the rest of the world who have never known or have seen a bank account and have been under the corrupt regime of some government. But that is, I think that's, those are the more important pieces, I think, of Bitcoin, and certainly a small piece of why I'm involved is because now the playing field is leveled from every individual in the world, and um, and I think it's up to companies like ours and every other Bitcoin company in the space to really do their job and do their job well, so that the technology can be used by everyone.
And it can continue and grow. Absolutely, I agree. I've seen what some companies are doing, like very early on when I was asked to speak at the Texas Bitcoin conference on the women's panel. It was like women based, and I was like, well, I haven't really considered myself a woman in tech. I've just been me.
Yeah.
So I had to do a little research, right? Well, what does this mean to women? And I was looking at what the film annex and the women's annex were doing, and I love what they're doing there with women in Afghanistan and teaching them social media. And that to me, just like you were saying, it just like my heart like opens up. It's a wonderful thing to empower people that have never really had the opportunity of real economic empowerment. And when you look at it, there's 7 billion of us in the world. There's really only a billion of us who have access to, financial, high-level financial instruments like we have in first world countries. So that's really exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Good, good. Well, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys do great. I'm definitely going to look more into that, and we're going to have your wallet on our first guide there in how to protect your identity and save money with Bitcoin. And that guide is not how to hide your identity, but how to protect your identity. Right, and I think that your products, do go a long way to help that and to help move that forward. So I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and looking forward to seeing more of it, and to seeing other entrepreneurs and individuals working at really cool companies, and talking about what they're doing on here. It's really great for the ecosystem. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll have you back again when you do release that debit card. I'd love to know more about it when it's available.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye bye.